2021 special meeting of the Board of Selectmen will come to order. Do you guys want to join me with that?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So no comments from the public, no one's here. Could I get a motion to approve the joint climate change task force Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes of October 21st, 2021?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion? No?
Good meeting.
Good meeting.
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Could I also get a motion to approve the joint Mystic River Boathouse Park Implementation Committee and joint Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes of November 1st, 2021?
So moved. I second.
Just a second. Any discussion on that one?
Nope. Another good meeting.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who did those minutes. And then could I finally get a motion to approve the special Board of Selectmen meeting minutes of November 3rd, 2021?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion on that?
Nope.
No. Thank you, Stacy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have no correspondence that we've received. Under appointment for the Conservation Commission, could I get a motion to appoint Michael Schaefer to the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Here, second.
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Just a big thank you to Michael for being willing to serve. That would be great.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So could I get a motion to reappoint Colin Hagan from an alternate to a regular member of the Economic Development Commission?
So moved.
Could I get a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
No, I just think it's fabulous that
Yeah,
he's willing
Colin's
to
been
go
a
up to regular.
great member and yeah, been an alternate for a while, so it's great that he's willing to move up into that spot.
No, and I think being an alternate and then going into a regular is a nice segue. So
yeah. It's a good path.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Colin. Okay, could I get a motion, especially since I met with her today, we definitely need her. Can I get a motion to reappoint Margaret Jones as our tree warden and Kathy Weinberger as our deputy tree warden?
So moved.
Or your second?
I second.
Just a second. Any discussion?
No, I'm
Just a big thank you. They do so much
Yes.
work for
Yes.
basically being volunteers. It's kind of crazy how much they do.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. Okay, so under new business, we have a resolution for emergency management and homeland security. The resolution authorizes the first selectman to enter into, execute and deliver documentation regarding the emergency management and homeland security grant programs. Could I get a motion to approve the resolution?
so moved.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion or question?
I just had a question. So this is like just in general in the event that something comes up and it's like you need
It's a specific
respond to
grant.
a specific.
Yeah, it's just for our emergency management grant program. So every year, just in order to apply for the grant, this resolution has to go with it. So it's just we approve it every single year. It's the same resolution, but it just gives her authorization that once the grant funding comes through, she can sign documents and things like that.
And Stacey, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what, does this one pay for like our emergency management person's stipend essentially?
Yep, this is the one that we apply for every year that oversees all of that emergency management money.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, motion and a second, and all those in favor?
All right.
Thank you. Okay, so this one also, this is a step before going to the Board of Finance. So this is a request for an additional appropriation for repairs and maintenance account for the Department of Public Works. So DPW is requesting an additional appropriation of $125,000 for their repairs and maintenance account to fund very needed repairs to the DPW fleet and equipment. And this will go in 2 weeks to the Board of Finance for their approval. That has to come to us first. So could I get a motion to approve the additional appropriation for the Department of Public Works repairs and maintenance account in the amount of $125,000?
So moved.
Do I get a second?
I second.
Okay, now,
I do.
discussion.
So my first question is, and not that I wouldn't approve this, because absolutely this is needed, but you know, they already spent 100, now it's 125. Could they just get a little more and buy a truck?
That is going to be part of the discussion discussion. I think it's more than, they have such an aging fleet, my understanding, it's more than one. So it's a few of them
No, I was
that need
reading
the,
this,
that need the work, but that is something that we'll be meeting and talking about internally, and with probably the Board of Finance liaison, for DPW or SIP to say, potentially whether it's part of next year's budget or potentially another additional appropriation before this, before next July comes, to see if we, at least one of them, should be doing now. Because I think just over the years of not approving enough of the DPW fleet, it's really just caught up. It's, it's kind of hit and caught up, and they've already, this will be almost $250,000 in maintenance.
So one of the things was we had started to lease vehicles, right? So that we could eventually replace all of these aging vehicles that, because is this for the snow, for snow?
A lot of them are
It's
for the
plow
trucks that are plow trucks, but some of it I know also we have like our flail mower was down, so like that ate up a lot of equipment, maintenance line item. I think the sweeper was down at one point, so that ate up a chunk of it. So it wasn't just the snow plows, but now I think the snow plow ones are needing maintenance.
Okay.
What were you saying about
No, so that was something that, I mean, it was like like an ongoing, it was gonna work, so that I know that it was going to create some debt, but we could get, because even if a truck gets approved for July of 2022, you're looking at 8 to 12 months before we get one.
At least, I mean,
Because
we've
it-
probably got a pickup truck for the last year and can't get
You
one.
can't get one. So this was something that, so that it'd be more palatable for these big ticket items to go through a lease program, and the interest rates were very low at that time. But then the Board of Finance just no, if we have the money, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, but you have the money and now you're not spending it.
Yeah.
So,
So could that be revisited? Because that seems like it makes sense.
it does. I mean,
If you're
just,
paying $250,000 for maintenance,
right.
if you've got a lease,
Then at least you get something new.
Get something new.
It's very much akin to what the commitment to the police fleet,
Yeah,
right?
forward.
Like every year, we know it's going to be it was $150,000. Now it's gone up to almost $190 because of cars have gone up. But at least that way, they have a dependable fleet of new cars that are out on the road all the time. Like the new cars are the ones that are patrol all the time. But Public Works has just been cut.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the only time that Public Works was starting to get more money for equipment was when we had that very bad snowstorm and the National Guard had to come in to dig us out because our trucks all broke down.
and that's what I'm afraid of.
So this is something I think that when it's time, when the Board of Finance gets the SIP presentation and they talk about it, maybe if we
Yeah, because I think in the SIP right now, it's like $700,000 worth of SIP requests from DPW. So you
Okay.
have to say if you can't fund that, or at least half of that, 3/4 of that, then to look at possible leasing.
then leasing.
I mean, because I was looking through this and some of these, and you can see if it's just a pickup truck that somebody's driving around in, but some of these things are 10 years old, and it's
Right.
and
they don't
get
have-
a lot of use.
And they don't have a garage to keep everything in, so they're exposed to the elements.
Yes.
And it's salt air. So,
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I'll ask if they can run those numbers, just what is the leasing cost versus the upfront cost?
Yes.
And are all these available for leasing? Because I remember that discussion, and I hate the idea of paying an interest on something, but at the same time, if we're not replacing them, and then we're spending all this extra money in maintenance, then
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
and
And
it's
this is
frustrating.
just as much of a public safety issue as the police.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or clearing trees or down lines.
The increase of storms already, and it's obviously only getting worse. I mean, they've been getting so much use. So, all right, no, that's a good idea. Okay, so I'll ask them that. But for now, any other questions on this one?
No.
Okay. All those in favor? Motion
I think I have
carries.
one more comment. I don't think that there's been any special appropriations for the budget for this year yet.
Yeah, so this will technically have to wait until January to come out of the general fund, if I remember
No,
correctly?
I don't
but
think
they-
so. Those are line item transfers. So
Okay,
you can't do a line item transfer until 6 months into the fiscal year.
okay,
But a special appropriation can be done at any time, only
Okay.
because that's the money in excess of our 2 months operating.
oh, okay, oh, yeah, the percent,
Okay, and then the special appropriation, this is just our guidelines, meaning Stonington's guidelines,
Okay.
is when the monies, the special appropriations exceed 0.5% of the total town's budget, then it has to go to a town meeting for approval. So it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that can be allocated for emergencies such as this. Like, you don't have to wait for January. This is an emergency. What if we have a
Yeah.
blizzard
That's what I'm
now?
saying,
Right,
you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no, it can.
And so you were saying though, we haven't yet done any, so that's the.
I don't believe
Yeah.
anything's been done, right,
Okay.
so.
Okay, alright, so we voted all this in favor, so we did that. Okay, under new, no, that's it. Okay, then, comments from the selectmen.
I just had a couple things and something to maybe add to a future agenda. I missed meetings last week, obviously I was on vacation, but the facilities committee did get a proposal, I'm sure you saw it.
Okay.
For the Old Mystic property. Looks very interesting, and I will forward it to you guys. It's got like 7 buildings for possible elderly housing, and it's access from 184 as opposed to coming through the other way, which is really key because it just, helps
Less traffic.
much less traffic. So that's an interesting proposal. It was from the Stonington
Housing, yeah, they're
Yeah.
part of the housing authority.
Yes. So I was going to call Paul and talk about it because I wasn't able to go to the meeting, so I haven't seen.
That would be great, if you could call him or him, and then also if you wanna talk with, either talk directly with either Kate Carob or Julie Stavin, and the co-chairs of the housing authority, or one's the chair and the vice chair, or potentially even join one of their upcoming meetings as the facilities liaison. But I thought one thing that they had said, which was so thoughtful, was, and then we have to figure out how to take it forward, but was, they want to do this, but they want to do where the biggest need is. So they're thinking, potentially have like kind of affordable housing for seniors. But if it turns out that it's really people with the kind of varying abilities, like the New Heights program, that's more needed, or combining the two even potentially. But if we had some sort of community discussion, as well as pulling in other nonprofits and human services, obviously, to say, we're in the school, where do you see the biggest need of a lack of housing and a need in our community, that they'd be happy to then tailor their proposal and their project around what the town really needs. So I thought that was really thoughtful.
Yeah.
So again, whether it's kind of our hypothesis that it might be a mix of disabled and elderly, or if it's different, but they seemed open to it. And then I just have a question for you: did they receive any other? I don't know how
That's the
publicly.
only one he shared.
Okay. I don't think
And
they
I was
shared.
going to ask him that.
Yeah, maybe
But,
find out, like, did they proactively reach out to anyone else? 'Cause I know that could just be
Yeah.
a question that comes up is, and do you know if it were maybe granted him, I think he was going to get an estimate from a developer who had already done it.
Yes, I know he talked about that, and I was going to ask him
Okay.
that as well.
Just to see how much a single family housing development would like.
I know they
potentially
reached out to him, I just don't.
bring in, just to show the Board of Finance the difference from that ARPA conversation. But then maybe we could, whether it's through the facilities committee or internally within the town, just do a little bit more due diligence to show that we really did cast a wide net to say to any other potential, whether it's nonprofits or developers, like, did they want to put in any sort of proposal?
Okay, that makes sense. I will ask him and then we can maybe work on that.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to say is I heard from Doug Nettleton, and they found the source. Remember how they were talking about the Old Mystic? They found it. There was actually like an open pipe that at high tide the river was coming in.
Really?
Yes.
Behind that like mill in Old Mystic, that's like right on the river there. If you're coming past Pequot Trail, like down to that intersection, it's on the left.
Oh,
Right behind there.
My
They found the
chiropractor used to
source.
be in there. Yeah, on the ground floor. Yeah. No.
So he had also reached out to me, and I got to send him tomorrow because I found it. He's looking for. They're trying to do some salinity comparisons, and the USGS has like some measurement stations along that river, and they do measure salinity. So I pulled it all up today, but I didn't have a chance to send it to him, so I'll send him that. But that's really exciting.
That's really exciting.
So next week, I think their meeting is virtual, and I should hopefully be able to attend
Next
it.
week, okay.
Yeah. So then, I'm going to the Board of Ed meeting on Thursday. I am hoping to be able to reach out to all the new members, probably not before the meeting, but again. So
To reiterate it there, yeah.
Yeah, so if you can, and I'm gonna say something here that I'd like to reach out to them all, but if you have any of their emails, actually by now they should have Board of Ed emails, so
Yeah.
we can reach out.
Okay, and if not, we can send you some of them.
Okay, because I've already, I had discussions with Farouk and I talked to Heidi, and so, talking about both the superintendent search and kind of just things moving forward.
Thank you.
Not really tying in with that, but sort of tying in with that. So I did go to the library meeting last night, Westerly Library, and you're right, they're lovely, and it was a very nice meeting. I actually had a tour of the library. But one of their new things they're working on is kind of a look into technology gaps that might exist in the town, which also would include Stonington, and how they might be able to help, like, either get some training or equipment or whatever. And so they were talking about, no one ever thought about talking to the schools. And so as Board of Ed liaison, I was gonna, reach out.
Yeah.
I'll mention it, but I'll reach out to Farouk or, somebody and say, this is something they're looking for. Because, my thought was both, they have senior projects and, community service. It might be a way that there might be students that could go into the library and volunteer to maybe help seniors with computer skills, which I know the Boy Scouts have done that in Groton at least. So that's one possibility. Or there may be needs that the school has that they can't fill that the library might be able to. But they're looking for ways. Technology specific in other partnerships, but this is something they're looking for technology specific because they've got a new committee, a new person who wants to do this committee, and so they're looking at ways to increase technology, but not so much like for the library, but for the community. So.
Also, I'd say reach out to Chris Wilson. Because he might
he's
have
the one
some
that did
insight.
that work in Groton when he was a Boy Scout.
Really?
He went,
That's
that was his
amazing.
Eagle project.
That's
he did
so
training for seniors in Groton on how to use it.
Oh, then you'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. Yeah, he'll definitely get it then too. That's really great. Thank you for doing that.
All right, so that's it. Those are just my highlights.
Thought so. Thank you.
So I have a couple things.
I really.
All right, so the police commission meeting last night, the chief's formal retirement announcement letter was voted on and accepted.
Okay.
I asked them, I said, well, what if you, could you
Reject it?
all just say no? What happens? They were like, I don't know, it's never happened before. So that was last night, and Lisa Tepper-Bates really, she just gave such a synopsis of that Chief Stewart doesn't just have leadership here in Stonington, but he's known in Hartford, he's known around the region. And she would always say, to tell people if she's on the police commission or whatever, oh, Chief Stewart, it would just be this glowing accolades about him. So it was very nice commentary about him. I'm sure more and more will come out. And there was a moment when the chair had asked, did anybody from public want to say anything, and Darren was like, just please vote on it. But it was really, really good, and her comments were very nice. So from there, I went to the planning and zoning meeting, and it was the public hearing for the Montessori project. I was very happy to be there because, while I've gone to the Hartford Healthcare, facility, and in person, I've used it, and it's just beautiful to hear. So there were 27 people that voted glowing, that made comments that were so supportive of the proposed project. And it was people from the condo association, the president of the condo association, about 20 residents there, people that live in the apartment buildings, doctors that work in the facility, the head of Hartford Health, patrons that have gone to the facility, that what an attention to detail and what a great asset that we have here. So, I mean, the public hearing is continued until December 7th. There were a few pieces of information missing from the presentations that the planning and zoning wanted, but you know, meeting went on pretty long. But it was really an honor to be there and to listen to it all. So there was one comment. One person turned and complimented David Ladazori, saying that, no, I almost expect, these were her words, I almost expect that you can like tear off your jacket and you've got a Superman suit on underneath, you know, for how incredible this whole facility is. So, then there's one other thing that I just wanted us to think about. So, you know, as we're going through our budget process for next year, I mean, it's clear that there's a need for possibly 3 additional staff people. Ones that I can identify is one to help Deanna, right? So we need another person, I would think, in human services to help with all of the mental health.
I can update you on that, because I did have a conversation with Leanne, so they might have a different plan.
Oh, okay, all right. But this was just from, all right, so there was that one, and then from the engineering side, right, a town engineer, I think, is like a top priority, and then a sustainability manager. So I just wanted us to think, instead of waiting for the new budget, can we ask for one of those positions now? So, like the engineer, right? Like, can we just ask now? And I think, and
This is going to take a while to.
It's going to take a while to find somebody, but I think if we just took a look at our, and I don't want to overstep on the Board of Finance at all, but if you know, Jim can do an analysis of debt service that's being retired. I mean, I know we have the sewer plant and everything down the road. I mean, I know it's all you know, all a balance, but with our tax collection rate being as high as it is, and we under budget the tax collection rate, I really just want to see if Jim can do an analysis, you know, about the affordability of adding a position now, and not waiting for the new fiscal year and going through the whole hiring process.
That would actually really make sense. And as I said, especially for the engineer, because I'm so afraid we could lose another engineer.
Yeah, I think it's already been an intense job and position that should have been 2, and some of it got addressed by doing the consulting with the FEMA floodplain stuff, but it kind of already has gotten filled. And then with all the ARPA projects, which are great, but a lot of those fall under public works and under engineering, so I know they're swamped. So that's a really good idea. Okay, I'll ask Jim, because we could at least run some numbers and see. And like you said, it'll take months, so you probably wouldn't even start that much sooner than 6 months sooner or something. So I mean,
but at least if we know that it's going to happen, we don't have to wait for a referendum. I mean, it's a huge need. And I think the town had 2 town engineers at one point in time. Yes.
I didn't.
Speaking to somebody that was on the Board of Finance a number of years ago.
I would say it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But
like more than 20 years.
Yes, probably. Yeah. So, but there's an absolute need for that now, and I'd like to see us maybe justify the position. The last thing I have, I'm going to get emotional. No, only because we got sworn in the other night. And it has just been phenomenal working with the 2 of you. It's been an honor. I'm really looking forward to the next 2 years. So, but that's all. That's all I wanted to say.
Like, there those ladies go right again.
Right, oh gosh. So, yeah, it's just been, So.
It's been nice. It's the same.
Yeah.
I don't think we could have gotten through these 2 years
if we were any different. I mean,
I certainly wouldn't have agreed to run again if it had been any different.
I'm glad you're here.
I mean, the level of respect and the experience, and it's just the compatibility. It's just, it's like nothing I've ever experienced in all the years I've ever volunteered. So I'm really looking forward to the next 2 years. Bring it on, whatever it is.
So that was one of the things I was going to ask about adding to a future agenda.
Okay.
Was the charter.
Oh, yeah, oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna we're obviously not talking about it tonight, but something to add to a future agenda.
Okay.
Just to think about.
Yeah, okay.
Because I think we should all think about it and come back after the holiday.
Yeah.
And if we are gonna open the charter, we have to do it now, cause it's probably like an 18-month process. And so, if, before the next election, cycle, before our 2 years is up, if we wanna do it in our term, we would have to do it. And I think, we can just go through the pros and cons and challenges and different things, but.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll keep mine short, this will be nice to have a short meeting. But yeah, tomorrow, as you guys know, we have our SIP, kind of half-day discussions. I think that should be really good to really see what we're kind of up against and how even with millions of dollars of ARPA funding and grants, like we still have so much. And I think if we just think about how to help communicate to residents, because I think someone already had a call with one resident who is a high taxpayer. They do commercial buildings and stuff, and just saying like, when they first started projects, the mill rate was like 18 something, now it's like 23 something, and like, is it when is it going to kind of level off? And I was like, I don't see it leveling off. Like I think we've had a mixture of, I don't want to say neglect, but like years of underinvestment plus we're hitting the point of aging infrastructure all at the same time. It's like, so I don't know if there's ways to help communicate more with residents about the kind of competing needs and how many things we have going on, and then especially with like different experience, but like if we should be looking at just other creative ways to go about doing things, like whether it's leasing or if there's potential down the road for another bonding if we need to for like an infrastructure type, bridges, something. But there's just a lot happening, so that's one thing.
But that's where development is so important.
Yes.
I mean, every tax dollar that we can get from a development is really critical because it helps offset, right? It helps
And the zoning rewrite to allow some creative stuff. I mean, with the developing, like we talked about the solar and the charging stations or things like that.
Yeah. No, definitely. And then on to some later, more happy things. So we have, we're very close to entering a contract with Titan to do kind of the work for us for the RFP for solar, potentially at the transfer station. But the school agreed to be part of it for a segment just to explore it. I'm not sure if they'll do it, but at least we'll get some data. They weren't comfortable with the roofs, but they were comfortable with another one, so it's a step. And then the WPCA agreed to have one of their sites included just to be looked at. So again, not certain if it'll go for it, but at least we'll have the data. So everybody's reviewed the contract. We're very close to signing it. So I think that'll be exciting to get that going. We have a Living Shoreline site walk on now that got moved to Friday at 1 o'clock, I think. And it's a group of residents in Mason's Island that have, I think, been working on this just among themselves and wanted to bring the town in to take a look at it. We actually just all happened to be on the same webinar. It's kind of funny. I was talking about our Living Shoreline project at the Mystic Boathouse Park, and then through whatever, we connected. So they invited us to come look at that if we wanted to, which I can send you guys if you did want to come, you're welcome to. Then just on another fun kind of late note, we had an amazing call today with the town of Greenwich Planning and Zoning.
Wow.
They reached out to me, or they reached out to a planning and zoning member and then to me to talk about affordable housing. And they are looking at doing some different work in Greenwich to increase affordable housing, and they wanted to talk to us about our experience. They read in the paper.
Bob?
What?
Is his name Bob?
No, it was the woman that chairs it, Margarita.
Okay.
And then there was two
There was
other
somebody
people on it.
that somebody on planning and zoning asked me to connect with, and I think he moved it to somebody else. So.
Yeah, I think
okay.
they did reference someone that had helped connect it, and it might have been him.
All right. He and I never did speak, but he was from Greenwich.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
Like Ben, as planning and zoning chair, joined myself and Susan and Colin, and they had 3 of their members, and it was just really insightful. So we talked about different approaches they're taking to affordable housing, and kind of we sent out them our draft plan, so they could look at it. And we talked about how we're trying to work on all these different buckets and not just one, approach. And they also are going to try and use some of their ARPA money for a housing fund. They're trying to create a larger housing fund. It was just a really interesting conversation. But then we started talking about all these other zoning things they're doing. So they actually in July change their zonings to anything 4 or more units has to have a certain percentage affordable units. And it was amazing. And so Ben and I are going to reconnect on that because I'd love to see that go forward here. And then they also have a sustainable landscaping zoning that they're working on now, where it would be more for commercial or very large scale, but basically like a checklist of like native plants, reducing lawn size, increasing tree canopy, and they get points. And they need to hit a certain amount of points as part of their planning zoning process. And it was interesting because we asked questions like, was that considered undo something, some zoning term, but undo I don't know, requirements that, but they said no, they've gotten opinions, they think they can do it, and so that was really exciting.
Oh, it's like forcing the sidewalks in an area, right?
Substantial, something like, but they said no, you could do it for
like,
that.
are we creating an undue hardship or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was really exciting, and then they're also looking at energy efficiency, how to either require or incentivize kind of greener buildings, and looking at Energy Star, and it was an amazing we touched on so many topics, and it was so interesting, and they have like a planning and zoning kind of like among other towns where the chairs all meet and kind of get together and talk, and they invited Ben to participate, and so we were saying maybe we could do something around here on that, so it was amazing. It was a really nice kind of call, so it was really nice, but just to end on something happy. I'll stop my update there. But then I guess, anything else?
You'll have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
You have a lot to be thankful for. Thank you,
We have a lot to be
Stacey.
thankful for. We're thankful for Stacey.
Maybe the veterans thing, just so it's on record.
On Wednesday, you guys can come or help us share. We'll post something
Tomorrow. I hope.
Stacey and I both thought Thanksgiving was in 2 weeks and not
Yeah.
next week.
No, Thanksgiving's next week.
The Saltwater Farm Vineyard has been a great partner. They're having an event the night before Thanksgiving, or letting us kind of piggyback on it. And so we'll have a table set up, and Stacey has done this like absolutely amazing, phenomenal job getting just the most exciting raffle items ever. Like there's so many of them, and so there's going to be people can buy raffle tickets, and they don't have to be there to win, but you will write down the information, and those are going to be $20 a ticket. But then she also secured 3 like really kind of like high end, but like higher value items, and so we're going to put forward a plan, but likely have a longer raffle for that one. So they'll be there, and people could put into it, but it will probably go through December, early December for those items, and they'll be more expensive, like a $50 raffle.
Okay.
And can I say it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Stacey got $1,000 credit for Ocean House for an overnight stay for 2 people plus breakfast. So that was amazing. So we were like, and then she got another option is 2 people to fly to Block Island, and
Dinner.
and then the Whalers Inn gave an overnight stay that's with
that's
that
fabulous.
credit to the
Stacey,
shipwright
that's
daughter,
great.
right? So we figured people could do $50 and you'll get picked, but whether it's you want to do or maybe you want to get as a gift for somebody or so we think we could actually raise some like significant money.
So you want us to come and help out, which is
Well,
fine.
we're just
No, just
or
come and
just
have
tell
fun.
people and
Yeah.
get some people to come and get tickets and
Give me the information for tickets.
Yeah.
Okay.
and help
Sure.
kind of share. I think it would be exciting.
That's great.
So where are we? Where are we right now with the veterans?
We're at 64,000 as of today.
Amazing.
54?
64.
64?
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just picture Stacey like the little engine that could keep going for the veterans. Like it's just been. I mean, it's amazing. Like some people have given. And actually, like someone stopped in today and gave us a $1,000 donation that they had shared with someone who doesn't even live here, but recommended it as a great kind of not cause, but like a great way to give back to the community, and anonymously donated this $1,000. So and then other people have given like 25, 30, like people, like I said, on the Veterans Parade route, people just giving little bits of money add up to like over $400. Like so, it really it's been a nice community effort. So we'll get it done one day. And it's in this. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Right. So then.